Two fighters of two different worlds. One question that has not been answered perfectly. Who comes out on top? In 2021, Homelander threw a baseball at a charity event. Engineers who studied the footage calculated the release velocity somewhere between Mach 10 and Mach 12. He was waving at kids the whole time. Oscorp brought a fully funded research division in to reverse engineer Peter Parker's web fluid. 18 months later, they dropped the project without a statement, without a memo, without a single person ever explaining why. A billion-dollar materials science team looked at something a 15-year-old made in his bedroom and decided the smarter move was to never speak about it again. Now, most of you might think, how's this even close? Homelander would absolutely slime a kid. Is it so? Let's talk about Homelander first. Vought didn't raise John. They grew him before he took his first breath, and the process shaped everything about how he operates. A white room, stripped of warmth, stripped of contact, stripped of a name. The only window he had to what a normal person looked like was a television screen behind bulletproof glass. He watched it long enough to get very good at copying what he saw. What that produces is a person whose entire psychology runs on control. When he has it, he's surgical, calm, precise. When something starts removing it, watch his face in the Soldier Boy fight at the exact second the situation stops going how he decided it would go. Something surfaces that has no interest in consequences or logic or anything coming from outside. That variable decides this fight more than anything else. His laser vision fires the instant he decides it fires. Instantly. Temperature exceeding the surface of the sun. It cut through a reinforced military aircraft before the pilot finished processing that something was wrong. There is nothing Peter Parker is wearing in any version of this fight that survives a direct hit. Flight speed recorded at Mach 1.5 in a controlled test where he wasn't even pushing. Combat goes well past that. More important than the number is the habit it created. Homelander has always fought from above. Every confrontation across his entire career, everything on the ground happening below him on his terms. He has never once had to look up at whoever he was fighting. He held up against Soldier Boy. Military rounds don't break his skin. Explosions don't move him. Thousands of people chanting his name. People who worshipped him. And for 3 full seconds, he genuinely considered killing every single one of them. The only thing that stopped him was a camera. His moral floor has never been located. Neither has his ceiling. A person who decided long ago that consequences are something that happen to everyone around him. On paper, Peter Parker doesn't walk out of this fight. Here's what nobody gets about Peter Parker. Peter got his powers at 14 and worked it out completely alone. No resources, no guidance, no one who had been through it before. Then for 6 months before Tony Stark ever came looking for him, Peter was already going out at night in a suit he sewed himself because someone needed help and he could do something about it. Nobody knew. Nothing in it for him. The web fluid came from that same bedroom. You already know what Oscorp decided about it. People know he's strong and fast. What gets skipped is where the ceiling sits when things get desperate. Because under real pressure, the numbers he produces have no business coming from someone his size. Vulture's equipment buries him under a collapsed building. Both eyes nearly swollen shut, cracked ribs, bleeding internally. He pushes it off through a slow, grinding effort while talking himself through it out loud. That scene is remembered for what it says about his character. It should also be remembered as one of the most significant raw strength demonstrations in the entire MCU. The condition he was in when he moved that weight matters as much as the weight itself. Before that, at 17 years old and 8 months into having powers, he caught 2 halves of a splitting commercial ferry mid-separation and held them together with homemade web string. A loaded ferry in that configuration weighs several thousand tons. He held it long enough for Iron Man to show up and fix it. 8 months in. Civil War was his first real fight. 15 years old, going simultaneously against Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, reading both of them mid-exchange, finding gaps, adjusting in real time. His mind doesn't slow down when things get worse. It accelerates. On Titan, Thanos has already put the Hulk on the ground and has the Power Stone active while fighting 6 people simultaneously. Peter weblocks him and holds it, absorbs direct hits from someone who treats Iron Man's armor like an inconvenience and keeps coming back. Then works out a web angle combination mid-fight that generates enough force to actually move Thanos across the ground. Peter is 16 years old. The spider sense by No Way Home is something the word reflex doesn't cover. It fires on intent, on a threat still forming before it has physically committed to existence. existing. It has registered a thought in someone else's head before that person finished deciding to act on it. Against laser vision that fires instantly, fast hands are completely irrelevant. The spider sense doesn't catch up to threats. What Peter has already lost before this fight even starts. This is what actually decides the fight, and it has nothing to do with power levels. John has one weapon he has used his entire career, and it has never failed him once. The moment someone truly understands what they're standing across from, the fear arrives, and it tells him everything. It works on everyone, because everyone has something left to lose. Peter lost his uncle to the consequences of his own choices. He lost Stark. He lost May on a pavement while she was telling him that doing the right thing and doing the hard thing are the same thing. He lost his own name to every person who had ever loved him, and then spent the last hours of his only life protecting people who wouldn't remember he existed when it was over. Everything John's weapon needs is something left to take. Peter walked into this fight with nothing left. John has never faced that. Nothing in his life suggested it was even possible. Homelander goes up immediately, because that's where nothing has ever touched him. He fires. The spider sense reads the shift in his face before the laser leaves his eyes, and Peter is already gone when it arrives. Homelander has never missed a targeted shot in his life. For someone whose entire world runs on control, that miss lands somewhere deep, even if his face doesn't show it. He closes the distance, comes in from behind. Spider sense reads it before Peter's eyes have anything, and Peter is already gone. Homelander blows through empty air, pulls up, turns around. The contempt that lives permanently on his face is gone. He adapts fast. The web patterns become readable. The movement gets anticipated, and eventually, he stops chasing entirely, goes high, starts dismantling the environment instead, removing movement options one structural point at a time, getting quiet and methodical. This is the most dangerous version of John, the anger compressed into certainty. Peter hits open ground. Homelander descends. And here's how it ends. Every web shot that missed hit a structural point. Every retreat was a placement. The whole fight, while bleeding and being worn down, Peter was loading the room, calculating weights and angles the spider sense had been feeding him from the very first exchange. He wasn't running, he was building. Homelander lands and searches for what has never once been absent in anyone he has ever faced: the fear. The moment a person understands what they're standing across from, and everything they still have left tells on them. He looks at Peter, and he cannot find it. Peter is watching him with the quiet, settled look of someone who made their decision before the fight started and has been waiting for this exact second ever since. John has read people his entire life, and he has never seen that expression, because nothing in his life ever produced someone who could wear it. In the half second he spends trying to make sense of something he has no category for, Peter pulls. Every loaded line goes taut at once. The environment comes down at angles calculated across the entire fight. Homelander tanks the debris, because of course he does, but he's grounded now, and something is moving around him in 3 dimensions, hitting from angles his entire career never prepared him for, refusing to stop. He goes down. Spider-Man wins. Homelander built his career on the one thing that never failed him, and it never failed because everyone he ever faced had something left to lose. Peter lost his uncle to that. He lost Stark. He lost May. He lost his name to every person who ever loved him. Everything John's weapon needs, Peter already gave away a long time ago. John spent this whole fight looking for a door that Peter closed years before they ever met.